In this lesson, we'll finish estimating the cost for our steel in our project. So let's get to work. All right, so now that we have the steel associated with our columns, let's take the similar approach to figuring out the cost of the structural framing. So this time I'm going to go back to View again, which is where our Schedules button is located, and this time I'll go to Drop Down, Schedule Quantities, and this time I want to know about the structural framing elements. So this is going to include what's going on in my truss system, as well as some of the hollow steel tube sections I have that provide lateral support throughout the project here. So what we're looking for here is structural framing. So once we have that selected, click OK. And now let's add the fields associated with this. So we definitely want to know the cost. So we'll click that and bring that over. I want to know the cut length associated with those pieces of steel and framing. So I'm going to add that there as well. But I also want to know what each piece does. This will really help me when I'm looking through this list to know, why do I need this piece of steel? Do I even need this piece of steel? Do I have some redundancy going on here? So I really like having the structural usage in there as well. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to add that in there. So now that we have cost, length, let's go ahead and create a calculated value or our own customized formula to figure this out. We're going to use the same formula we used for our columns here. So I'm going to go to calculated value. And this will be cost of framing here. And you can get even really detailed per linear foot if you wanted to. And I'm going to use my rectangle here, and I'm going to pull some of the elements out of my schedule lines here. So we want to take the length, and we're going to multiply that times our cost. Remembering to capitalize that cost. And again, we're going to divide that by 1 so we can get it in units of per linear foot. Once I have that set, I'll click OK, and it looks like we're ready to go. But while we're here, we can go ahead and adjust the order of our fields here. So I definitely want to know the structural usage. I want to know what it's used for. So we'll move that one to the top of our list. I want to know its cut length. I'll move that next. I want to know the cost, and then I want to know the total cost of that. So I'm happy with that layout there. All right, so now that we have this in place, I can now plug in the cost that we think might be associated with working with these elements. Let me see if I need to bump out of there. So we know that for the most part, this entire truss system here is going to be composed of the W12 by 26 members. And you can actually see that right here. All these elements being called out are our framing elements: web, our cord, top and bottom cords. But most of them are going to be the 12 by 26. So I'm going to assign one numerical value to that, and I'm going to just type in 50. And again, this number might not be accurate what's going on in the industry, but I'm going to type in per linear foot. Again, when I type that in, the change will be applied to all the W12 by 26s, which is what we want. I'll click OK, and it looks like all our fields are updated. So now we have our elements here, which are these girders, and we can assign a value to those as well. I'm just going to simply, put in 45, give it a little different price than what we've been working with. Again, Revit's just letting us know that it's going to update all our 10 by 30s. And we'll assign to this one, and this is probably our hollow steel tube sections. So I'm going to assume these are 25 bucks per linear foot. And I could type in, hit enter, OK, and now all my fields are set. So let's go ahead and format these fields. We don't want all these running decimals, and we definitely want to know what currency we're working in. So again, I'm going to go to my format here, and we're going to go with our cost, and we're going to adjust its field format, getting rid of its default settings, and we're going to be working in currency. And again, for rounding, we want 2 decimal places. And the unit symbol, I want a $, so I'm going to click OK. Everything looks good in this window. I'll click OK, and that's perfect. So I'm really happy with the way this looks. So now we've created estimation for our entire steel in our project, or at least up to this point in the concept design. So let's customize how these sheets or these schedules look. I really wanted to make them look really nice and really readable. We've got a lot of numbers on here, and it's easy to get lost in these numbers. So let's add some color and play with some font. So to make those changes, it's really easy. So you simply click on the field you want to make your change in, and make sure you're in the Modify Schedule here. So we'll click on the field, and you'll see under Appearance, we've got a number of tools we can use. We can add borders, we can adjust the font, and we can play with how the alignment is within our cells here. So we're going to focus on shading at this moment. So again, clicking on the field I'm in, I'm going to click on shading, and it's going to bring up our color window. And now I can pick colors to fill in my entire cell there. So I'm going to go with orange for my main title here. And I want to thicken up this font just a bit. So I really don't have to highlight anything in here because I'm working in this field. Revit knows that there's font in this field. So now I can click on font. I can adjust its size. So I can do this fractionally. I can type in 1 inch, 2 inch, but I know that 1 inch probably won't fit in this space. So I'm just going to use a fraction here. Right now it's set to 1/8. Let's bump it up just a little bit. Let's go to 1/5. It's kind of a weird number, but it'll make it fit in there really nice. But I also want that font to be bold. So you see we have font style. We've got bold, italic. We can even underline it. I'm going to go with bold. And you can even choose your font color. And I'm sticking with the black. But if you wanted to, we can click on that and choose a different one. And that fits in there really nicely. It's really easy to read. So let's take a similar approach, and we'll finish out our smaller categories here. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to click on one cell, and I'm going to hold down my left click button, and I'm going to move across all the other cells I want to adjust. And now I can go to my shading, and we'll call that one, we'll give it a yellow tint. And we'll also bold that font to make it really readable. Now, I'm not going to adjust that size because I need it to stay really small to fit inside there. So go with bold, okay. And now that thing is really easy to read. So I'm going to do the same thing with our other schedule we created here. So I'm going to go down to my schedule in my project browser, and we'll go with our column schedule here. So again, I'm going to click on the field I want to work with. We're going to adjust its shading, orange on top. We're going to put some bold for the font, and we're going to up that size just a bit there. And then we're going to change the color of this line. And again, I'm trying to be consistent. I really want to have a nice system set up for my documentation. Makes it easier to read and easy to follow, and I just really like to have consistency. So let's do the last row here. Again, we're just going to click on that field, move across with our mouse. Let's change the color and the shading to yellow, and let's increase the size of that font by making it bold. Perfect. So now what we have are two accurate, easy to read schedules, and now we actually have an estimate. We kind of know where to go with our steel cost. So in the next lesson, we're going to learn how to apply use schedules to create costs for our footing as well as our slabs.